Tudo bem. Tudo bem. I have to confess that I love Rio. I have been coming here for about 20 years. First time I came here was about 20 years ago. And you know how when you're going through some stress and you need to be in your happy place? Often I come to Rio when I need that visualization of happiness. And yes, and everyone, you know, we have a lot of people from the DasCoin family and the NetLeaders family that have come and become introduced to Rio, and they see it's incredibly beautiful, very beautiful, physically a gorgeous place. But Dave alluded to it, and I think everyone can feel it. What grabbed me the first time I came to Rio is the spirit of the people. There's a warmth and a spirit of the people here that is amazing. And Dave gave you a round of applause, but I have to, from a sincere place, I just want to give you a round of applause for many years. I've come here many years, and I really love the spirit of Rio and of Brazil. So thank you for that. I want to share something that I think embodies the Brazilian spirit, and this is a natural place for us to come to really just share what's happening. I feel that a lot of what we've built in this domain is very emblematic of that Brazilian spirit. And it's, you know, I think about the sunny day on the beach and the way people enjoy themselves, and that the equitable distribution of sunshine in this realm, and the way that people share from their heart, from their soul, it's just really something that's special. And I feel that a lot of the world doesn't have that. And I think that there's a very similar to that analogy of sunshine, that there's also, I see it as, and what I've always looked to in this whole realm is the economy, the way the economy works, and the way capital structure has worked within our economy has not been that open sunshine that everyone's enjoying. It's actually been very concentrated, as if the sun is only shining in certain places, or even worse, that there's a form of bondage happening where people can't reach the sunshine. They're not allowed out into the sunshine. And I feel that what's really interesting about this moment in time is that there is something happening with the fintech revolution that will allow us to distribute capital in a way that it's never been distributed before. And we're all used to economies that, and we can understand, and I'll just put this up on for a bit. The idea of, you know, so economy, there's decentralized economies and there's centralized economies. And you can think about that in very basic governance models. So in the very centralized, that's a lot of the central planning. I think that communism is a perfect example of that. Well, let's centrally plan everything and see where that gets us. And over the years and through evolution of economies, there seems to be a shift to decentralized systems, and capitalism seems to be a decentralized system that is working a lot in the world. But something that I would argue is not working is that the capital structure has been very concentrated. So there's a lot that's been explored in the top two quadrants And there isn't a lot that's been explored in the bottom, and particularly what's interesting is a decentralized system like capitalism has always had this very centralized capital structure to it. And it's kept the benefits of the whole system locked up and concentrated among a very small group of people, percentage-wise. And only now, with technology, is it possible to unlock that structure. And there's the ability to explore. What I really want to know is what happens, what's the world look like in that bottom left quadrant? Because I feel that a decentralized, distributed decision-making governance model that is capitalism, I think it's a beautiful way to go. But what happens when we unlock the capital structure? You know, what possibilities open up when we're down there with fully distributed capital? And we've been living under, for many centuries actually, we've been living under central monetary authority. And that's kept the capital very locked up. And it's taken a lot of people and locked them out of the sunshine, of that, you know, there's the Brazilian spirit being enjoyed, life is being enjoyed by the top level, but there's a kind of a, you know, I think we, you know, very much like a beach in Brazil, we all, you know, deserve to enjoy the sunshine. And this is not, everybody gets the same amount. We want to recognize the risk-reward relationship. That's why, you know, we're definitely wanting to cultivate a system that rewards people that take responsibility, take risk. But we also really need to, we've got to let this, we've got to unlock the possibilities so that people that are locked out can really enjoy in this. And we think that there is a way to do this, and it's happening slowly right now in crypto. Cryptocurrency is happening fast, but there's still it's mimicking a lot of the situation we have in fiat, where there's a concentration. So we still haven't yet unlocked the full distribution, but there are ways of doing this, and that's really one of the things that came to mind in creating DasCoin. So just a review, because you guys have gotten, there seems to be a very knowledgeable group of people in this room tonight, and you've gotten some great information, but let's just go over pros and cons a bit of what cryptocurrency is. So it's a form of fast global transfer. It's inexpensive to transfer value through cryptocurrency. It's convenient to store value in terms of, you know, versus like gold, you know, storing it in the form of the digital cloud is very convenient. It can't be confiscated. That's something that a lot of people like about cryptocurrency. And it can't be inflated. There's a limited number of it. And we've been really suffering from the inflation dynamic that occurs in fiat currency. But there's also some drawbacks that need to be addressed. One is the lack of identification information associated. This is that whole, there's a lot of anonymity, and it could be used for bad purposes by bad people. That's something that needs to be addressed. It's difficult still right now to spend and use it easily. There's a risk in exchange, both in the movement, there's a lot of price movement, and also in the exchanges themselves. There's been some that are not that secure. There hasn't been government regulation. That's coming. But that doesn't exist right now, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And it's, in the totality of it, it's arguably difficult to understand. That's why education is so important. That's why there's a reaching out from our side of things, and to everyone in this room, to basically help bring about that understanding. So when we decided to create DasCoin, The idea was that we wanted to address these weaknesses that we saw and wanted to figure out what's it look like, what does a cryptocurrency look like that goes completely mainstream, that's being used all the time for various different things by a lot of people. So really a mainstream usage, and it's sustainable. It's not this, you know, here today, gone tomorrow. What does it look like in a sustainable cryptocurrency? And so one of the places that we started was you need authenticated members. You need this, there needs to be a KYC. The banks use that. It's just identifying who's on the network. And we thought it's a very, very important element. And it is not, it's by most of our brethren in the cryptocurrency industry, that's looked upon as not important and potentially undesirable by them. They don't really want to be on the radar screen. But our view was we wanted to be sustainable and we wanted to be scalable. We think there's a lot of business to be done, and businesses aren't going to take a cryptocurrency seriously or aren't going to be able to justify it to their board members operating in a cryptocurrency if it's got unknown people operating on it, if it could be used for to finance terrorism, for money laundering. So we thought, first really important factor, this needs to be authenticated. Authenticated network, very important to us. A consortium blockchain, you learned a bit about what a blockchain is, and there's different ways to operate blockchains. They can be very open systems, and they turn out to be, it seems to be a great idea. It's very decentralized, very open system, and the proof of work, Bitcoin's a perfect example. Proof of work is one example of that type of a blockchain. Turns out it's extremely inefficient. It's very costly, has a big carbon footprint. It's one way to go, and it's a good way to go. It's going, you know, Bitcoin is underneath that form of blockchain. But blockchain, as a lot of people in here know, is something that's fairly new, and it's still being understood, and there's a lot of different ways to create it. Now, on the other extreme would be a fully centralized blockchain. It doesn't make a lot of sense because the whole idea is that there's redundancy and immutability. A centralized blockchain, the operator has the ability to change records and affect that timestamping, fudge the numbers. So that's not too workable. But if you move down that spectrum, the idea of a consortium that is licensed to hold those records and is being held in different companies or government bodies that are trusted and know that for the sake of the whole system, the strength of the system, there's not going to be collusion or some sort of changing, counterfeiting of the results of that. So what ends up happening is there's this structure called a consortium blockchain that has not been fully embraced by the industry, is starting to get more understanding, but it's something that we chose as our blockchain because it offered a lot of efficiency, and it offered many of the same great benefits of these open systems without the exorbitant cost and the huge carbon footprint. And so we thought this is something that really, we wanted to build on this concept. We thought that made a lot of sense. Again, we're looking for a sustainable system. What you're going to find out a lot in probably this year, so if the 2017 was the year of cryptocurrency in many ways, I think that that's a statement that is a fact. This coming year, 2018, our current year, I believe should be the year of the ecosystem. in this realm of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And it's a signal to anyone that's really digging into this space. Look at the ecosystem. Look at the ecosystem around any of these coins. Paolo gave 5 important factors in when you're looking at a cryptocurrency. Look at the ecosystem. And by the ecosystem, we're talking about what the pieces that are around the coin or the currency itself. There's the wallet that you hold that coin in. There's the exchanges. There's different ancillary businesses that can be run on top of these these cryptocurrencies. And there's a whole realm of smart contracts that are potentially there, and there's many things that can happen in an ecosystem, and they naturally develop. So Bitcoin's a perfect example of, it's very decentralized, so the ecosystem naturally developed. There was no centralization. It just developed in a very disparate way, but it developed. Now, juxtapose that to a highly integrated ecosystem. So we love the principles of decentralization, and there are elements of centralization that work for the needs of this kind of a system. And so we've really looked to preserve as much of the decentralized as possible, but then bring in centralization where needed. And so it's a hybrid type of system, but it's an integrated ecosystem. And there's more than one company behind this whole enterprise that has DasCoin as the center of it, the store of value unit, but there's an entire ecosystem of other companies, all in alliance with each other, all working in an integrated way. And that's creating additional value. And so it's just a flag to think about when looking at any cryptocurrency. What's their ecosystem about? Like, do they have one? What's a part of it? What does it do? It's an important factor. It was something that we see as very different. This idea of not being able to have your funds confiscated, it's a winning idea. No one wants these centralized banks to be able to just go in as they did in Cyprus and did a bail-in and took people's deposits out because they needed it. They needed the money. That's just something that doesn't go down well with anybody. So we've preserved that idea of a decentralized wallet in what we do. And we've also added a further element of, we use a device that manages the encryption keys for that wallet. So we really are taking people by the hand and helping them come into what is normally a do-it-yourself experience. The whole realm of understanding how to do something so decentralized, there's no company that is providing that information. You need to know somebody that knows how to do it, and hopefully they'll show you how to do it. We are systematically helping people to enter into this whole decentralized type of experience, because we think it's very important that you, and only you, are in charge and in control of your cryptographic assets. And that's what our whole system is. There is much more than just a store of value unit to our ecosystem, but it's all the access is built around a device that manages those encryption keys. So it's a very important element. Finally, one advantage that I'd like everyone in here to consider is, when you look at a cryptocurrency, ask yourself, how is it going to grow? How will it grow if ecosystem is very important, how's it going to grow? The real element that's super important in valuing any cryptocurrency is the network. It's the network of nodes, the network of users, and you need to ask the question, how many users are there? What are they doing with this network? How fast is the network? How strong is the network? How secure is the network? Those are all really important questions. But ultimately, one of the most important questions is, how is this network going to grow? How will it add more users? And when we looked at this issue of growth, yeah, Bitcoin has a natural growth mechanism. It was the first cryptocurrency, and so it's kind of ridden that awareness. When all the altcoins that Pascal talked about, when they came on the scene, there needs to be reasons, and there is this frothy market where people are talking about, oh, it's this factor, that factor, but ultimately that becomes a very crowded market, and it's very surface, it's not substantial. And where our minds were going when we were creating this enterprise is, we believe that there's something really valuable in creating an education force, if for lack of a better word, a worldwide group of people that are equipped to educate others about this space. There's a lot to learn about this space. And so this idea that, to do that, you've got to incentivize people. There's a lot of ICOs that say, that seem to be saying, when people buy this token, they're going to go and tell people they bought the token, and they're going to hope that it gets used by people. That was a scenario that we didn't think is going to be sustainable. Again, always about sustainability. And so we thought better to create an incentivized marketing system that offers benefits to people in relation to their impact on the growth. So the more impact they have in bringing people into this realm, the more people that get these ideas and get involved, the more that benefit is shared with the individual that was the conduit for that. And so this kind of a mechanism is really, you will find in doing your research, it's very rare in the whole realm. There's over 1,000 cryptocurrencies, and very few of them have any sort of marketing strategy to them whatsoever, much less a very defined, systematic incentive system for the growth to happen. So, and yet, this type of marketing has been around, and I would argue has been questionably applied to many other types of businesses, many other types of products and services, and yet the most natural application of this system of incentives is in creating a network. And you'll see that over time, this is going to become more and more of a factor. Right now, we're kind of, the odd character at the party, and I believe that with time, with the industry getting clogged up with all this messaging, we're creating a very well-educated group of what we term advocates that understand our system and help other people to understand not just our system. That's not where we want to go. We want to reach out and let people know about this entire industry. That's why something like this is put on, is to outreach about the industry itself. We're not here to hard sell anything about what we're doing. We want to share about the industry, and we'd like you to know about, we want to share about what we're doing and why we're different. And we believe that having this massive educational machine is going to make a real difference in reaching this place where, as I said in the beginning, that I believe we can unlock the capital structure. Right now, there is still, even cryptocurrency is mirroring the fiat system. It's an aspect of the industry that's not very well covered, but there's a very high concentration of wealth, of holdings within cryptocurrency right now. And I think that needs to change. And I think that our system, we have a very unusual distribution system. It's built on a minting model. And I think that that type of a system is going to lead to a much more equitable distribution of units. And with that comes all sorts of possibilities. Dave Crane gave you some insight into how much jobs are disappearing and changing. And there's many very smart people. Jaron Lanier comes to mind, a guy who sees this whole digitization stripping out the middle class. He calls these grand, the siren servers. These are Google and Facebook. They offer some free services, but we end up giving up our identity. We give up our privacy. And ultimately, we're letting the entire thing be disintermediated. The entire economy gets disintermediated digitally, and wealth gets further concentrated into the hands of the shareholders of Google and Facebook. I'm just here to just share that this idea that there could be a different way. There could be a better way of distributing the capital that makes our economies move, and that there is a shift happening, and we are in the center of this kind of shift. And so you will get a better overview, a more in-depth overview of what DasCoin and NetLeaders is all about with the next speakers. But I wanted to just share a bit of insight into what some of the things that make us different. So thank you very much. Obrigado to everybody. Thank you.